Hello, class. Hope you're doing well. Welcome to October. Start of the month, there's always, new movies on the stream platforms. I personally, I get Netflix and Amazon, so I've seen all sorts of new movies. But beginning of October is always exciting for us in the science community because it's when the Nobel Prizes come out, and they come out next week. My video next week will be on the Nobel Prizes, but this week I'm going to go and talk about something a little different. And I saw this recent article, and I thought it was looked kind of fun. And it also has, there's a bunch of questions I have now after reading this article, even though it's a short article. But it says here that plants can use aerosols to communicate with their neighbors. So plants, we're animals, we're not plants. Plants are relatively stuck, right? They don't have locomotion, whereas we animals, we have locomotion. If we're in danger, we can just get up and leave. We can get up and run away. And we animals, we also communicate. So us humans, right, we have our speech, but we also, with our facial expressions, we can communicate that through crowds very quickly. So mass panic can spread through crowds very quickly, for instance. And plants have a similar thing. And although they can't move, one of the things they can do is make themselves very unappetizing. So if an herbivore starts chomping on a plant, the plant can make itself really unsavory, and then hopefully then the herbivore will be like, all right, I don't want to eat this plant anymore, and move on, and then the plant is safe, kind of thing. And we've noticed that this can happen through root systems, and specifically mycelial or fungi networks between the roots. And we've some people have jokingly called this the World Wood Web, the WWW instead of the World Wide Web, the World Wood Web, that trees can communicate as such. But we found out now that there is another way that plants can communicate, and it deals with releasing volatile organic compounds. So it's VOCs. This is also a primary pollutant. So things like uncombusted fuel, that's a VOC pollutant, and also alcohol. So certain things like hairsprays or whatnot that have alcohol in them, other personal care products, when the alcohol is released in the atmosphere, that's a VOC. There are plenty of anthropogenic or human causing sources of VOCs, but turns out plants themselves are also a source of VOCs, and this is noted quite frequently in forests. So forests do generate quite a bit of VOCs, and of course, this is not anthropogenic. This is from non-human sources. And what also is interesting about this is that the VOCs transform into a secondary organic aerosol. So that means that it's not just a vapor phase, it's an aerosol. Aerosol means tiny particulates of either aqueous or sort of solid particulates. And we know about this already in Hawaii because of VOG. VOG is a second, well, it's not really an organic aerosol. It's an aerosol from the volcano. It's ammonium sulfate particulates typically is what VOG is, and so we have that here in Hawaii. And but it's interesting that the plants, well, they know that the VOCs will turn into secondary organic aerosols, and then they sprayed these secondary organic aerosols on Scott's pine seedlings, and they noticed that they responded. So that the release of these VOCs are warnings to other plants, and it's getting them to gear up. And this is not necessarily unique to trees though. Like maybe you've noticed the smell of grass if you've mowed the lawn, and then there's this particular smell. That's the distress signal of the lawn. It's like, I mean, we're thinking, oh, mows the lawn, but it's a different experience for the plants, though, right? Because it's being chopped apart. So that is actually some of the smell that you get from freshly cut uh, grass is actually the distress of the grass. So it's sending that warning to the other grass. I'm not sure what the other grass is going to do, though, unfortunately, to fight against the lawnmower. But plants can fight against herbivores, like I said, among other things, making themselves less tasty. I mean, some questions for me I have now with this. I mean, what do the receptor sites look on this? I mean, they're spraying these things on the plants. How is the plant receiving this information? And once it, I mean, we know what the end result is that, but we don't necessarily understand the pathway. So this is interesting that now that we've learned this, we've got to look deeper into this and learn and have more questions and more research on this. And that's basically the thing with science. And it's like, for me myself, I'm the forever why child. So I mean, what's going to happen next? Why do plants receive this way? What's the receptor site? What's the pathway for this? So that's just what we as scientists are doing and trying to figure it out. So I hope you enjoy this. It's kind of cool. It's an interesting little tidbit, and I don't want to say it's unexpected. It's just I mean it just shows you how much we don't know and how much there is yet to learn. So it's kind of cool. So although next week we'll have the Nobel prizes, and I'll tell you all about them. But hopefully you enjoy this little interesting tidbit in the meantime. Also, with all my messages, I hope you are doing well. If you're not doing well, basic needs, mental health, academic, all these issues. If you need any help with these, please let me know. I will always do what I can to help out. I'm taking a break from grading. I've had a due date yesterday, and I'm still grading things. So grades will be forthcoming for those of you in the courses that have the deadlines. And but like I said, I wanted to, I like to mix things up. So I took a break from grading to make the video. But the grades will come soon, so don't worry. And I hope the rest of your week goes well, and you have a great weekend. Aloha.